Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at how to macro camping. Now this skill is a little more complicated than the other ones and it has a lot of room for error. So you need to actually practice this a bit, and just your macro might not work right away, but just keep trying and it should work if you just keep trying and fiddling with it. So the reason this is you can't use the in-game macro system. You have to use entirely the auto mouse click feature, and you actually have quite a few more steps than normal with the other macros. So the other thing to note is you can't do this in town, as you cannot make campfires in town. So you need to find a place in the wilderness where there's no monsters that are going to path onto you, and there's no people that are going to come and PK you. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put the kindling onto the hotbar like this, and that's going to start the campfire for us. So we can go to our auto mouse click program, pick a location, and that's going to be where we put that kindling on the hotbar. And that's going to simulate making the campfire like this. So now that the campfire is made, the next thing we can do is we want to actually start making the campfire. And that requires you to double left click in order to do it. You double left click right on the campfire. So we'll give it about a delay of 2,000 milliseconds. Find double click and pick it. And just like that, you'll start to try to make the campfire. Now I like to do this a few times, just in case your double click doesn't work, which it quite often won't right away. It takes a few times for it to actually work. And so 3 is probably fine. So now that we have 3, we just need to actually destroy the campfire. So what's going to happen when you double click it, it's going to start making the campfire like this. Now you only want to make this once. And the reason you only want to make this once is because the menu will change if you have a stronger campsite. And then the macro is not going to work because it's going to be looking to destroy the campsite with a different menu, and it's going to end up clicking somewhere else. So what I mean by that is once the campfire is made, you can right click it to get this menu. And since this is a tier 1 menu, it doesn't really have any features. If you move it to the next campsite, it'll be a tier 2 menu, and it'll have different features. And specifically, this destroy campsite will be in a different spot, and we don't want that. So we only want to make this campsite once. So once it's made, we're going to destroy it. And the way we destroy it now is we're going to need to right click. So we'll go to right click here. Just up at the top. Right click, there it is. We're going to give this a delay of 20,000 milliseconds just to ensure that there's no chance. Since there is a variance in making the campsite, it's quite significant. It can go anywhere from like 10 seconds to 20 seconds. So we'll give a delay of 20 seconds here, and we'll pick the campsite right here. So that'll right click it for us. And then the last thing we need to do is we're going to need to destroy the campsite. So we'll give a delay of say 2,000 milliseconds. And this is a little bit trickier than the other steps in that when you right click it and go to here, it's fine. But if you want to make that button on your macro program, you need to go back to that auto mouse click, and that's going to take that menu away. And so you want to get this perfectly. So what I normally do is I'll put a card on my screen where I see the destroy campsite button. So now I know where it is. And so when I pick this, it needs to be a left click. This, we can go to it, and I remembered, okay, well, it's right there. And so that's the entire sequence. So now we can test it, and we'll see if this actually works. And again, this may take a few times to get perfectly, and you'll just have to decide like what the problem is if you've done it incorrectly. So I'm making the campsite. I'm double clicking it a few times because it wasn't working. There, now it's worked. So now it's making the campsite, and now we're waiting that 20 seconds. It's probably going to be less than that, but just remember there's a variance. So it's don't try to minimize it based off your first successful campfire. Give it a decent delay. So now we're just kind of waiting for that extra time between what we set for the two. Yeah, there it goes. So right clicks it and destroys it. And that is it. And so now we can remake the campsite. And actually, I'm just going to give this a little longer delay as well, just for any delays in that destruction of the campsite like that. So that's the sequence. We can hit repeat count 0, so it'll go forever. Give your script and make sure to have a ton of logs and a ton of kindling. And once again, you just give another shot. So there's it making the campsite. There it is trying to build the campfire. Now we wait the 20 seconds. Campsite's made. Next thing it'll do is it'll right click and it'll destroy it. And now it'll start over again, just like that. And that is how you macro camping.